Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It's July 23rd, 2023. I am Stephanie Pawlowski, Commissioned Lay Minister with this church. Reverend Kate is off this month. I'm a 40-something white woman with brownish graying hair up in a bun. I wear glasses, and I'm wearing a black shirt with large printed flowers. I use she, her pronouns. We are so glad you have chosen to be with us this morning. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome. We are working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. I have with me today volunteers and staff all working to bring this worship to you. On behalf of this team, thank you for being with us. If this is your first time with us, we would love to be in touch with you. If you have not already done so, please go to our welcome desk in the atrium, or if you're watching on YouTube, visit our website, just Google First Unitarian of Pittsburgh and sign up for our weekly newsletter. You are also invited to join us for social time on Zoom following this live worship. To get a Zoom link, please send an email to firstunitarianpittsburgh@gmail.com. If you're here in person, we will be having a little social time out across the garden lobby in the Schweitzer room. I invite you now to take a deep breath. Arrive in body and spirit and picture yourself connected to all others who are watching today and in the future. I do have one announcement. Next week, Andy Norman was scheduled to be a guest speaker with us, and unfortunately, he canceled. Instead, however, we will be doing a poetry and music service led by Ellen Goshen, and Brad Yoder will be joining us as well. We turn now to our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to light it at this time. We light this chalice with the words of Ellen Hamilton. In faith together, we light this small scrap of light, symbol of Grandfather Sun's enormous power, whose energy burns so brightly in these days of deep summer, catapulting the leaves and vines, vegetables, flowers, and fruits to astonishing size, length, and heights, spilling over the tops of cages, walls, and trellises, delighting and nourishing all beings. We bask in the warmth and the heat of these days, with lightened hearts and quickened senses, in gratitude and in faith. May this faith burn bright in your heart and mind as we worship together. Now please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, hymn 100, I've Got Peace Like a River.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy
seated. Please be seated. For the story for all today, I'm going to read a children's book. If you want to see the pictures, child or not, you can come up closer and sit up here if you want to see the pictures. If you want to sit from there, that's fine too. Oh, look, Mr. Ward is coming up, so you could come up and join him so you won't be all alone. But the title of the story is Where Happiness Begins, and the cover picture is a little kid holding the hand of a big orange blob. Are you looking for happiness? And look, the little kid is reaching up for a jar that says happiness. It often has disguises and goes by different names. Some days it seems to be hiding, while on others it's right with you wherever you go. It's right behind the kid in a long line of people. You can try to understand it, collect it, or protect it. You can try to catch it, but most of the time, happiness appears to have a will of its own. And sometimes it may feel as if there are too many things that get between you and happiness. It's not always easy, but you can find your way through, and happiness will be there waiting. When you find it, start following. See where it will take you. Happiness may be different from what you expect, or feel a little scary at first, but it will let you find new paths, enjoy your time with family and friends, and do the things you love to do. You can't feel happy all the time. You might feel overwhelmed by your feelings and that you can't always control them, but you can always find your way back home. Just breathe. In that quiet moment, you'll realize you don't have to keep looking for happiness. It was always there. Recognize it and treasure it, because in the end, happiness begins with you. Now, this summer, we are not having education for our kids, but we'll sing to everyone that is here and the kids in all of us. Please join me in singing Come and Go With Me.
And we'll do the first verse and the last verse singing.
We share our generosity with a designated organization. This month, it is Planned Parenthood of Western PA. All donations are shared 50-50 with this organization unless otherwise designated. Our religious community is made up of volunteers and staff creating and hosting a variety of programming. We rely on your financial support. In addition to the collection plate, you can donate by texting GIVE to 412-435-1050 and following the directions on your screen. Please check the order of service for more directions.
We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. We remember those who are experiencing losses of various kinds and those facing health challenges. We are aware that many are faced with heightened difficulties presented by these times that continue to be challenging for us all. May those who suffer or mourn find peace. May those who hunger or thirst be quenched with nourishment and sated with the elixir of life. May those who have experienced violence find care and comfort and the healing that comes in time. May all of us find the loving kindness that is ours to share. May we open our hearts and minds to encircle with love and care all in our community and beyond. So may it be. Amen, namaste, and blessed be. You're invited into a few moments of silence, personal meditation, and prayer. let July be July. Even here, you are growing. When August is approaching and you feel a little restless, thinking about how this month might end and how this year might end and how you are supposed to start again. You are growing in grace, courage, strength, and it is okay if it doesn't feel like it. It is okay if there are moments where you cannot see the way you have grown, because far beneath the surface, the seeds have still been sown. The ground beneath your feet is still a bed for new beginnings. So much is changing around you, but you are changing too. You are so much more than the brokenness that you were certain would define you. It has not been easy for you. You have worked so hard to be the positive one. You have given your best in areas of your life where the effort was not returned. And this has made it so hard for you to keep going. And there have been days when you were not sure if it was even possible. But after everything, here you are, just a little stronger, holding on a little longer, and you still found room for hope. So take heart, breathe deep. You are still becoming who you were meant to be. Let July be July, let August be August, and let yourself just be. Even in the uncertainty, you don't have to fix everything. You don't have to solve everything. And you can still find peace and grow in the wild of changing things.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, moving the land, giving life in shade of justice, whose only cause brings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Excuse me. Welcome to Holland by Emily Pearl Kingsley. I am often asked to describe the experience of raising a child with a disability, to try to help people who have not shared that unique experience to understand it, to imagine how it would feel. It's like this. When you're going to have a baby, it's like planning a fabulous vacation trip to Italy. You buy a bunch of guidebooks and make your wonderful plans. The Colosseum, the Michelangelo David, the gondolas in Venice. You may learn some handy phrases in Italian. It's all very exciting. After months of eager anticipation, the day finally arrives. You pack your bags and off you go. Several hours later, the plane lands and the flight attendant comes in and says, "Welcome to Holland." Holland, you say? What do you mean Holland? I signed up for Italy. I'm supposed to be in Italy. All my life I've dreamed of going to Italy. But there's been a change in the flight plan. They've landed in Holland, and there you must stay. The important thing is that they haven't taken you to a horrible, disgusting, filthy place, full of pestilence, famine, and disease. It's just a different place. So you must go out and buy new guidebooks, and you must learn a whole new language, and you will meet a whole new group of people you would have never met. It's just a different place. It's a slower place than Italy, less flashy than Italy, but after you've been there for a while and you catch your breath, you look around, and you begin to notice that Holland has windmills, and Holland has tulips, and Holland even has Rembrandts. But everyone you know is busy coming and going from Italy. And they're all bragging about what a wonderful time they had there. And for the rest of your life, you will say, yes, that's where I was supposed to go. That's what I had planned. And the pain of all that will never, ever, ever, ever go away. Because the loss of that dream is a very significant loss. But if you spend your mourning the fact that you didn't get to go to Italy, you may never be free to enjoy the very special, the very lovely things about Holland.
Abraham Lincoln is attributed as saying that most folks are as happy as they make their minds up to be. I have known many people throughout my life that just seem always happy. We all know people like that, people with bubbly personalities, always cheerful, always positive. No matter what comes their way, they just seem happy. What amazes me are the people like that you wouldn't expect. I have a good friend who became a paraplegic in his 20s in a random freak accident. He was camping by himself and putting up a tent when he was hit in the back with a stray bullet. They never found out exactly what happened or who did it. He was a carpenter by trade and couldn't continue his work. Now, I didn't know him back then, before the accident, and I'm sure it took him time to adjust to such a traumatic incident and such a complete upheaval of his life. But of everyone I have ever met in my entire life, he is the most positive, happy, joyful person. How does someone do that? I was reading How to Be Happy When You're in an Unhappy Situation, Zen Habits, which listed a few tips. When you feel unhappy, to allow yourself to feel unhappy, to feel the pain, to really go deep into it, because that is where healing starts and growth happens. To see the pain as aliveness, that's what living feels like. To always find gratitude somewhere, to find 3 things every day that you're grateful for, and to find joy in being alive. Maybe people are born with a tendency to be joyful or a tendency to be more pessimistic. The glass is half full people versus the glass is half empty people. I don't agree you can just decide to be happy or force yourself to be happy, but there's something to be said for looking for happiness where you are. The story that Jen read, Welcome to Holland, is one that I first came across years ago. It was sent to me by a mother friend when we were both in the throes of late toddlerhood. When we realized that my daughter was not meeting the same milestones as her peers, I was struggling in many situations that most kids her age had no problems with. We started the journey of seeing experts and discussing diagnoses, treatment plans, goals, futures. I, like the author Emily Pearl Kingsley, started thinking, this is not where I thought I was going to be. This is not the parenthood that I thought we were going to have. And this was not the life that I thought I was going to have or that I worried my daughter might not have. And every once in a while, I still get a sting of how I thought things would be. Now at 13, I thought we'd be attending bat mitzvahs, sleepovers, taking trips to the mall, fighting about too much time with friends. And sometimes I worry she's missing out on those things. But with each year that passes, we uncover more amazing things about our daughter, about our family, and about her personal joys and successes. It's not where we thought we'd be, but it's pretty amazing too. It's just different. Over the years, I also began to view the story Welcome to Holland as offering a much broader message. It's not just a story for parents of children with special or different needs. It speaks to everyone. Who among us hasn't looked around at some point and thought, where are we? How did we get here? There's a song by the new wave 70s, 80s band, the Talking Heads, called Once in a Lifetime. And the lyrics go, you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. You may find yourself in another part of the world. You may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile, and you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? We imagine our lives moving in a straight line. If we do X, Y, and Z, then we will get 1, 2, and 3 and end up in Italy. But what happens in life is unexpected. It's not a straight line. And sometimes it's not a line at all. It's a three-dimensional odd shape that moves and morphs and shifts beneath our feet. And we end up somewhere we never expected, someplace like Holland. Like in the Holland story, these unexpected places we end up have amazing things too. It might not be where we intended, but that doesn't mean that it can't be great. I've been back in Pittsburgh for 10 years as of last month. A friend recently asked me how I felt about our decision to return home, now that it's been a decade. And I told her, and I will tell you, that honestly, the move literally destroyed us financially. I had to pretty much restart my career from scratch, and my husband had to switch careers completely after being out of work. It has taken us most of the last decade to get back on our feet, and I don't know if we ever will be where we were before we moved. But if I step back and look at the bigger picture, I would not change the move for anything. My daughters have a relationship with my parents that they never would have had long distance. The autism services that we have here are nothing like we could have had in Alaska. And the friends I have here are amazing. I found this community that I call home. Had we stayed where we were, things wouldn't have been the same either. Close friends left, favorite old haunts have closed, and the heat. When we lived there, summers were in the 70s. Now they're in the 90s, and people up climate change in Alaska is no joke. Summers where most people don't have any type of air conditioning and many don't have windows that open, I would not be enjoying myself. Have you heard of FOMO, an acronym that the kids use when texting or on social media? And by kids, I know that I'm referring to probably 20-year-olds at this point. I'm sure actual young people don't use this anymore. But either way, FOMO means the fear of missing out. It describes anxiety caused by feeling that something exciting or interesting is happening somewhere else and without you. You're being left behind. It's a phenomenon that has increased exponentially because of social media. Facebook and Instagram are places where people post the best highlights of their lives, photos of them doing the most interesting things, going to the most exotic places, always looking their best, and eating the most amazing looking food. When you hear of people becoming depressed or unhappy because of too much time on social media, this is one of the big reasons why. People see all the amazing things that others have going on in their lives and feel that they can't measure up. Although I had heard of fear of missing out, I had never heard of its opposite, JOMO, which apparently is joy of missing out. It's the pleasure derived from living in a quiet or independent way without feeling anxious that one is missing out on exciting or interesting events that may be happening elsewhere. It's finding happiness where you are without measuring yourself against others. It's finding the joy in what you are doing. It's being happy in Holland while others are in Italy. Can we force ourselves to be happy where we are? Can we just make our minds up to be happy? Robert Waldinger, a professor and author of The Good Life, Lessons from the World's Longest Scientific Study on Happiness, says that happiness is an accident, but if you put in ingredients of well-being, you can make yourself accident-prone. I love that, so I'm going to read it again. Happiness is an accident, But if you put in the ingredients of well-being, you can make yourself accident-prone. When we say we just want to be happy, or we want our kids to be happy, or we hope our friends are just happy, that is an elusive goal. We are setting ourselves up to be disappointed. Because what does being happy mean in the long run? Happiness is just an emotion. It's a momentary state of being and not a constant high. Like all emotions, it moves and shifts and drifts in and out. We can be happy in one moment, sad or hurt, or completely devastated the next. The children's book that I read earlier, where happiness is an elusive orange blob. It disguises itself, it goes by different names. The book calls out in a child-friendly way our pursuit of happiness. It recognizes the elusiveness of happiness and describes it as having a will of its own. But in the end, in the quiet moments, you realize you don't have to keep looking for happiness, that it was always there. What are the ingredients of well-being that makes us accident-prone to happiness so we can find that orange blob we all have? I think it's a lot of what I've already talked about. It's feeling all of the feelings, recognizing the temporary nature of our emotions. It's avoiding comparing ourselves and our lives to others. It's looking for the good and the beautiful where we are at any given moment. It's allowing ourselves to go on the journey of life, embracing all of its ups and downs. But there's one huge piece missing. One thing that if we truly invest in, we are bound to trip into happiness. Whenever I start thinking about a sermon topic, I normally ask my kids what they think. I've gotten some fun answers in the past. So this week I asked my 11-year-old what makes people happy. And not just happy for a moment, but what makes a person really happy. She thought for a moment, and first she said food, and I can't really disagree with that one. I'm a food person. But then she said other people, that other people make people happy. And Katie was on to something. Tal Ben-Shahar, author of Being Happy, says that the number one predictor of happiness is having strong relationships. People who describe themselves as happy are people who spend quality time with people they care about and who care about them. They're happier than others. And the scientific study that I referenced earlier also noted the importance of relationships and human connection to happiness. To truly connect with others and build strong relationships, we need to be vulnerable. We need to be present. We need to feel all the feelings, the good and the bad, and to share them with those we are close to. We need to be there for each other no matter what. And not only can these deep and honest relationships allow us to feel content and happy with our lives, it also helps us build the beloved community that we as UUs strive for. So I urge you to ready yourself for happiness, to become accident-prone, by experiencing all of life, by being vulnerable, and by being there for one another. I'd like to conclude with the words of 20th century philosopher Alfred North Whitehead, who wrote, "The secret of happiness lies in knowing this, that we live by the law of expenditure. We find the greatest joy not in getting, but in expressing what we are. There are tides in the ocean of life, and what comes in depends on what goes out. The currents flow inward only when there is an outlet. Nature does not give to those who will not spend. Her gifts are merely loaned to those who will not use them. Empty your lungs and breathe. Run, climb, work, and laugh. The more you give out, the more you shall receive. Be exhausted, and you shall be fed. Our gladness is not in taking and holding, but in doing, the striving, the building, the living. It is a higher joy to teach than be taught. It is good to get justice, but better to do it. Fun to have things, but more fun to make them. The happy person is the one who lives the life of love. Amen. May it be so. If you could rise in body and spirit and join me in singing hymn 128, For All That Is Our Life. Please be seated. And as we extinguish the chalice, join me in reading the words that are spoken in Unitarian churches and fellowships throughout the country. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We send you on your way. May you know the love of family, friends, and this community. May you know the joy of creation and the power of justice. Return again in love and peace.